Good evening, my name is Rachel Henry, and I am currently president of Sierra Vista United Educators Association. We are here to speak today to our local community about what underfunding at the state level means for our local students and employees. So we will start off with Isabel, who is currently a student at Buena High School.
Hello everyone, my name is Isabel Perez and I'm a student at Buena High School. As a child, I became fascinated with science and math, and as a young woman, I aspired to attend the University of Chicago to become a medical examiner. While my parents and grandparents have always encouraged my learning, any attempts by my teachers to foster scientific knowledge among my peers and myself have been halted by the omnipresent dearth of resources. While many teachers have tried to expose my classmates and I to hands-on scientific exploration, the lack of money to fund these experiences makes it difficult. I have often seen beakers and fume hoods lying unused in science labs, and these items truly are grim testaments to the fluctuating nature of funds in Arizona. Often, educators will receive a grant and purchase new materials. Upon arrival, however, these tools often sit in boxes and remain unused. This is completely due to the unnatural turnover and retention rate of teachers, a cycle that often leads to inexperienced educators and long-term subs. The large nature of our class sizes and the lack of math and science teachers worries me. I'm afraid without erudite educators, my classmates and I will be unable to achieve our dreams. Another factor that contributes to the lack of hands-on learning is simply the small and far between nature of the grants we receive. Often there is enough money for new books, but not for the enrichment activities that go along with them, making it difficult for some children to learn. We need sustainable resources in our schools, money that our schools can count on. I believe, however, that there is a solution to all of these issues. If Arizona schools could receive a piece of the $5.3 billion surplus, we could cater to all methods of learning, help end the cycle of teacher turnover rates, and even build better science and engineering labs to foster inquisitive minds like mine. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Jackie Moran and I'm a parent. I've had two students in Sierra Vista School District. In 2000, which was the year that my son was born, Proposition 301 passed by the voters to increase funding to keep up with inflation. Legislators took that money to be used elsewhere and underfunded our schools by $1.7 billion. Taxpayers sued in 2009, and in 2014, the Arizona Supreme Court ruled that the state legislators did, in fact, underfund the Department of Education. In 2015 and 2016, the legislature and Governor Ducey pushed Prop 123, which borrowed from future school funding to pay the debt the state owes now. Voters were not happy, and in 2020, the taxpayers voted to increase school funding with Prop 307, the Invest in Education Act. That increase was struck down in 2022 by the Arizona Supreme Court with a cheering audience of legislators including Senate President Karen Fann and Governor Ducey. Now here we are again. The state has a surplus budget and a debt to the Department of Education which it refuses to pay, and we, the voters, are left begging for money to pay teachers. My son was born in 2000. He's now about to graduate college, and his education has been horribly underfunded his entire life. My daughter will graduate next year. Her education has been horribly underfunded her entire school career. Our teachers are paid less than the general manager of the Burger King 1 block from the high school where they teach. We, the taxpayers, have made our statement about where we want funding, and that is to education. Yet we are consistently ignored by our legislators. Our legislators expect our teachers to be underpaid babysitters who guard the classroom doors with AR-15s but won't pay them. Our legislators cry, think of the children when it comes to legislating a woman's body, but it won't think of the children when it comes time to fund their education. Our society depends on an educated populace to thrive. Our future nurses and doctors I will need to thrive are sitting in an underfunded classroom at Buena last week, lacking enough staff, teachers, and resources to learn. The future engineers who will solve the energy crisis and make gas affordable again were sitting in a different elective because Buena can't afford a decent engineering teacher. The future plumber, HVAC repair, and construction worker that I will need to work on my house in 2 years lacks the ability to get a career technical education in high school because we can't fund it. And the problem is that these costs come back on the taxpayer. I, the taxpayer, have to fund a community college education for the career technical education that our kids couldn't get in high school. I have to fund welfare programs for the kids who leave high school with no money for college and no employment capability. We, the taxpayers, know this, which is why we've consistently voted to fund our schools, yet here we are, once again, for 22 years now, begging for the money that our legislators owe our schools. The biggest question is, why won't our legislators fund our schools? What benefit do they get from refusing to educate our kids? It's time to stop playing with education and fund our schools. The future of our society depends on an educated populace, and it's time. It's a $5.3 billion surplus with a $1.7 billion owed to the school. That's not even the entire surplus. It's time to fund our schools.
Good afternoon. Thank you for taking time out of your day to join us. My name is Janine Ventimiglia, and I have been teaching secondary math the last 11 years, with the past 3 years at Buena High School. Unfortunately, last week was my last in SVUSD. I will be leaving the district because my husband is in the military and we are moving to California. I have been unable to secure a contract to teach at the local school district because there are minimal openings, which makes sense given the properly and appropriately paid teachers as well as fully funded schools and districts. A couple of years ago, I joined the SVUEA Meet and Confer team, the team that negotiates compensation and working conditions with the Sierra Vista Unified School District. I joined because we need a salary schedule here, and also because I was voluntold. The association representative that suggested I serve on this committee knew I had no problem speaking up with respect for the concerns and frustrations of other staff members within the district here. We need to continually take care of our employees and show them that they are valued. In order to get teachers, nurses, and staff to stick around, they should be able to anticipate what they might be making 5 years from now or when they retire. I believe that if we can solve this problem, we can solve the teacher vacancy problem. Right now, there is not enough money in our school budget to do this. School funding in Arizona has been pieced together like a jigsaw puzzle with all mismatching pieces, with lawsuits and ballot initiatives causing employee salaries to be all over the place. And yet, the state has a $5.3 billion surplus. Remember that just a few months ago in February, we were all holding our breath while we waited for Arizona legislation to sign yet another one-year override of the aggregate expenditure limit, known as the AEL. The AEL is a constitutional amendment that was passed by Arizona voters in 1980, which created a spending limitation for school districts based on the aggregate expenditure of all districts. This limitation excludes charter schools and only applies to district public schools. The fact that every year, just prior to the third quarter ending, we are unsure if we will be able to be fully funded for the next month is appalling. Approving overrides to the AEL is also not sustainable, as you can only sign it in effect for 1 year. So come February 2023, we will be right back to where we were this past February. We need an educator's budget because we need high-quality, loyal educators to fill the 50 classrooms in our school district that are missing a teacher. We need an educator's budget because one in seven support staff positions in our district are unfilled, creating a strain on the system and making it unsustainable for teachers and staff to stick around. This year, SVUEA the union that represents teachers and support staff, advocated for the following agreements. The district will do the right thing and level the playing field for 80 teachers that are in year 1 to year 6. Sorry. $218 support staff will see an increase in their hourly wage to a $13.50 an hour in order to comply with Arizona minimum wage. All teachers and staff will receive a one-time 5% retention bonus. These are significant accomplishments, and we are proud of the work we accomplished in Meet and Confer this year. I believe that the district is truly stretching the budget for us this year, but these gains come with a sacrifice for everyone else in the district. If we had a piece of the $5.3 billion, we could fix the vacancy problem in Sierra Vista schools. We could level the playing field for all teachers, including those past the 6-year experience and up. We could pay our support staff the $15 an hour that they deserve, plus the appropriate pay for their years of experience. This is a year with high inflation. Costs are going up for families and for school employees, and we are calling on the state to do the right thing and spend some of the $5.3 billion surplus on our schools.
Good afternoon. My name is Amethyst Creek. I'm a 3rd grade teacher at Pueblo del Sol Elementary School. I'm also a product of Sierra Vista Unified School District. I started school with this district as a 4th grader and graduated from Buena High School in 1999. I currently teach at a school where I was a student almost 30 years ago. There are many challenges with our public school funding that result in vacant teacher positions, but I am here today to share a bright spot, as a result of which I am one teacher that will be returning to my classroom and Sierra Vista students next school year. 6 years ago, I started my teaching career as a first-year teacher here with SVUSD. Each year for the past 6 years, I learned how to be a better teacher. Simply put, as a teacher entering my 7th year, I bring more value to the profession, to my colleagues, and to my students every year. I almost left the district this year because of the inadequacies in pay. I currently make $35,566. I have a colleague who is a first-year teacher who makes $35,565, less than $1 less, than I do. Teachers across the hall that come to the district with 6 years of experience from other districts make $41,247. The more I found out about other teachers in the district, the more I found out about what other teachers in the district made compared to me, the more demoralized I got. I was not feeling valued for my loyalty with the district. So I joined the SVUEA Meet and Confer team. This is the group of teachers and staff that negotiate compensation and working conditions with the district. I shared my story and I advocated to fix this long-standing problem, not just for me, but for all teachers that are affected. I'm going to be honest, I didn't really think it would make a difference. Sometimes it's easy to feel like nothing ever changes, but I'm here to say that we can make a difference. Last week, after doing some digging, the district came back to SVUEA and said they found more than 80 teachers that are in my situation. That's 1/3 of teachers in the district, and the district is going to solve the problem permanently for all of us. My salary is going to increase by $5,000 for next school year. I feel hopeful that if the state allocates some of the $5.3 billion surplus to our school district, that our district will work with teachers and staff to use the money to solve the teacher vacancy problem. Thank you.
I'm Nicole Parker. I'm a counselor in the district. Counseling and mental health support has always been an area of improvement for schools. As we've navigated our way through a pandemic, school closures, and virtual learning, we've experienced and continue to experience firsthand how vital it is for our students to have access to the support of their school counselor. Unfortunately, our students continue to experience directly or indirectly traumatic experiences, the loss of a loved one, classmate, or teacher, natural disasters, or unimaginable violence targeting innocent children. just to name a few. The American School Counselor Association recommends a school counselor to student ratio of 250 students to 1 counselor. In the 2020-2021 school year, Arizona's school counselor to student ratio was 716 to 1. That's almost 3 times higher than the recommended ratio and the highest school counselor to student ratio in the country. Each year, SVUSD conducts a needs assessment via surveys sent to staff, students, and parents. Every year since I can remember, counseling and mental health has been one of the top focus areas selected in those surveys. Our counselors in SVUSD work hard every single day to provide support to the students and school community. They come into work early, stay late, and even work on the weekends in order to ensure that they have time to work face-to-face with students each day at school. While the priority for our counselors is always to provide that face-to-face support to students, there are many other tasks on our plates. Student schedules, 504 plan coordination, leading the student success team process to ensure or to identify students who may need the support of special education, IEP meetings, transcript reviews and grad checks, before school, lunch and after school duty, proctoring district and state assessments, and the list goes on. Imagine how much more support we could offer our students if we could hire enough counselors to actually meet the 250 to 1 ratio. If we could ensure that our counselors could really just focus on supporting student needs. If the state allocates some of that $5.3 billion surplus to our school district, we could work to ensure that counseling support for our students is a top priority.
Hi, my name is Teri Parker. I'm a parent of 3 elementary students in SVUSD, and I'm also a former teacher of Buena High School. I left teaching at Buena High School in 2020 when I was offered a job outside of public education and found that my pay would almost double. When I looked to how much I would continue to be paid if I stayed in education, if I stayed for 20 years to my retirement, I would make an additional $6,000 for an additional 20 years of work. I can no longer financially convince myself to stay in a career that I love. I also am a parent of young elementary school students, and I have seen the inequality that is both at the secondary school as well as the elementary schools. Our secondary schools struggle to fill positions, including hard to fill math and science positions, which means that often our students are in classrooms where there is no teacher physically in the classroom. They usually have an aide in there, and there is a teacher on a video screen. And I think we all know after COVID how difficult it is for students to learn just off of a person with a screen. Our elementary school students are struggling to fill para positions because in addition to low teacher pay, we also pay our bus drivers and our paraprofessionals in the classrooms much less than they deserve for all of their hard work. So our elementary school students struggle with having additional helpers in the classroom, which they desperately need. Many of our kindergarten classrooms are sitting at 30 students, and if we were able to have at least some of our budget funded from what the state has not given us, we'd be able to fill those secondary positions so teachers could have students could have a certified teacher in all of their classrooms, and our elementary school students would have enough additional paras to have extra helpers in the classroom, which so many of those young kids need. Thank you.
All right, so that is all of our speakers, and I want to give a big shout out to everyone who showed up today. And thank you for being here.
All right. Well, we have here in front of us Rachel Henry. She's the Sierra Vista Unified Education Association president. Today, a big day today. Today, you wanted to try to get across the message. Obviously, quite simply here, as we heard the speakers, we need more money.
Yes.
How do you think it's going to shape up in the legislature? What have you heard from the governor or area legislators? Do you stand a chance? What have you heard so far?
That's a little difficult
to gauge precisely. The budget is a process that's done every year. We've noticed in the last couple of years there's a trend that the legislature is doing it more in what, teacher summertime.
Yeah.
So it's done very late in the legislative session, and we don't know what they're going to do. I will say here locally, we talked about aggregate expenditure limitation. That is an issue for our schools because of language that they did not put into the law when they changed it from 301 funds to classroom site funds, or CSF. And our local legislators did not, for our legislative districts, which are about to change, but the ones that were for most of Sierra Vista did not vote to support that.
Okay. So that's got to be frustrating to you, obviously. And I guess moving forward here, what's the call to action for people watching this right now in your mind?
I would say contact your local legislator. Actually, all legislators, as part of the budget process, there's a budget committee that you can easily find if you go online to be able to contact them, to either call their office or email them and say that you want schools funded.
All right. Well, thank you so much again, Rachel Henry, for joining us. Do appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
You bet. All right, folks, that wraps it up. We're at the Rothery Education Center here in Sierra Vista. An Educators Budget statewide day of action with the Arizona Education Association, and locally here today at Sierra Vista Unified Education Association. For CoolFMOnline.com, I'm Todd Roth.